Hello there, collective. It's Ron from Becoming Enlightened Together. We have another rune pull for you today. This one deals basically with what appears to be somebody at a great distance wanting to break free and come and talk to you, perhaps more. It's really hard to define exactly their motives, but it talks about the energy that they're in and so on. So maybe we can figure this out. But as has been all the way up to this point and will be until Saturday evening, the overall weekly energy this week is Lagus in the upright. And again, it stands for things related to water. Okay, of course, that means from the material world, anything like rivers, lakes, streams, the ocean, you know, precipitation, whatever the case may be, water related. But in terms of the non-material world, because that's really what this is talking about. It talks about, that area in between both the spiritual world and the material world. So it also refers to a person's intuition, their instincts, their psychic abilities, and so on and so forth. So again, it's been a reminder all week that the collective needs to really take into consideration that one, these things are genuine, they're real, that for the most part, most people have these latent abilities, but they have to develop them. It's rare that people just simply are born that way and they have all this insight and everything else that they instantaneously are aware of or know how to harness. Most of the time, they accidentally, discover these things about themselves, and those things take them over, until they learn more about it and they learn how to harness and control it and everything else. Well, it's a tool, and it's just another sense that we have forgotten that we possess. And of course, there are those out here in our world who want very much that you don't discover these types of things that can free you from their control. And of course, that is my cue because, to bring freedom to the collective in some manner, shape, or form, it's basically what I feel an overwhelming, feeling to do, I guess. I'm compelled to do it. And this is why, even the things that I find entertaining, in movies or whatever, usually deal with things of that nature. And I have heritage around every one of them, whether it's, Greece, Spartacus, or not Spartacus, he was a Thracian, but that's close enough. I'm talking about, of course, the Leonidas and the 300 or whatever. We have many Romans, Marcus Aurelius in particular for me, because he had all the power in the world at that time, and yet he became a Stoic instead, a philosopher. He was very, very disciplined. And Boudica, from my Celtic heritage and everything else, she rose up and destroyed one, possibly three Roman legions. Arminius, from Germany, did the same thing, decimated 3 Roman legions, against overwhelming odds and everything else. They were the superpower of their day. But my point is that, even though most people would say that would be an impossibility, or, how can we do these types of things? How can anyone fight the beast, as it's, talked about in Revelation, for example? Well, I believe that we can, and they don't want you to believe that. But I think that's what we're here to do. So, Lagus basically is just a step forward for the collective in order to develop your abilities and so on. And because of all the, like hornets around us, the karmic energy is simply swarming. We may not see exactly who it is that falls into that particular category. Somebody within our sphere of influence, and of course the story will be different for each and every one of you out there. But this is why we need to exercise great care and to trust our gut instincts, basically, is what it's at. Now, the past energy for today is Degas. Degas, in this particular case, is actually reverse. Okay, so Degas in the reverse talks about attitudes, radical changes, completion or endings, limits, coming full circle, blindness, and hopelessness. Again, this is the people, perhaps, the karmics who are having a change of heart, who are really planning their exit strategy at this point. They want to flee wherever it is, and whoever it is they feel bound to in this particular case. And we're starting to see that, well, this is like the third day in a row where they've intimated things of that nature. Now, our present energy is Radho. Radho in the upright. Looks like a letter R. There we go. Okay. Now, Radho is basically summarized as being the blessed journey. So, again, traveling. Anything dealing with forward mobility, including vacations, relocations, change of place or setting, seeing a larger perspective in something, seeing the right move to make and deciding upon it, rhythms of life, things of that nature. So again, we're talking about movement. We're talking about wanting to move or get away from something, so to speak, or travel someplace in particular. All right, so in terms of our obstacles and challenges, what we have is Ewas, and Ewas looks like a letter W in this case. It's actually usually a letter M, or it looks like a letter M. It's the letter E in their alphabet, okay? And but this one is in the reverse, and it stands for long journeys. So somebody at a great distance from you. But it could also be a mental journey too. So let's just see what happens here. But it talks about sudden changes, timing, changes being craved, desired, feeling restless and confined in a situation, but also having reckless haste, mistrust, disharmony, and betrayal. So somebody is either betrayed, which I'm sure they have, but they may also being betrayed right now as we speak too. So remember, this is karmic energies. So even though they may be starting to wake up, they're still not healed. So you need to understand that as well. It gives us some signs that they may be starting to do some of the work, but starting is a long ways from being healed, if you know what I mean. If you're a collective, you've been through a long journey, a lot of lessons, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. You've had to give up, people in your life, material goods in your life, maybe jobs and positions in your life. You've had to be betrayed by the closest people in your life, to learn the lessons necessary for you to move up the spiritual hierarchy, or to learn what it takes to really be more of an enlightened soul, so to speak. I don't have other words to describe it. It's not something to be used in a egotistical manner. It's just a way of speaking about the lessons and the learning process in the spiritual journey. That's all I'm trying to convey. All right, so again, we're seeing, evidence that somebody who wants to travel, to get away from a situation where it's not good, and they're a great distance away, it looks like, both in terms and possibly, again, their mental faculties. Now, in terms of our health and a device, we got Isa, and Isa is in the upright. Now, Isa, or maybe it's pronounced Esau. Not quite sure. Um, I know how it's spelled and all of that, but the way it's pronounced, especially in, Norwegian or Scandinavia, is, or in ancient Bavaria or Germany or whatever the case may be considerably different. But anyways, what that rune stands for is static. So even though they want to move, even though they want to travel, even though they have designs to get away and they're planning their getaway, right now they are basically at a state of stasis, or they are static. So ice also stands for ice, lack of energy. When you talk about, like, and I'm giving you my physics rendition of this whole thing, but when we're talking about cold, what we're talking about literally is the slowing down at the molecular level of the particles. The slower those particles move, the more that we would perceive them outside of, or in a larger perspective, as being something frozen or cold. So in other words, when you get to what we call or refer to in thermodynamics absolute zero, which is minus 460 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 273 degrees centigrade, what we're actually saying is there is no thermal activity at all. All particles cease to move. That's what cold actually is. So, in like manner, the faster the particles move, that's how we would perceive something hot. So when we're talking about hot and cold, we're talking about the molecular level, how the particles are moving. Are they moving quickly or slowly? And in this particular case, they're moving very slowly or not at all. That's what my point is in this case. They want to move, they're talking about and feeling it, they're thinking it, they're desiring it, but they're not able to for whatever reasons right now. But the destination is somewhere close to you and I, and everybody in the collective who's out there. Feeling other than being static, they're having ill feelings, of course, about that. They are currently separated from people who have been in their life. Who that may be is, again, going to be different for each and every situation out there. They're probably living in a hermit mode, so privacy is part of the energy for ice on the upright. Challenges and frustrations. They are definitely feeling frustrated over this whole thing. Um, see, they're having psychological blocks to thought or activity. They're not able to think clearly. They don't have any sense of creativity right now, and they don't feel that they have any abilities to move forward. They may have a lot more options than they believe, or maybe they're just terribly lazy and they don't want to make the effort, so they're making every excuse possible. I don't know. I mean, it's only giving us possibilities really here. But they do want to move. They're at a great distance. They feel as though they're being held, or not being given, the option to move freely. So they're not moving at all right now, but they do have aspirations and a desire to move closer to the collective. So they're having a standstill, but this is also a time to turn inward and seek clarity. So this is my advice to those who may be cross-watching out there, the so-called karmics. You want to wait for what is to come and seek clarity. Go within, okay? And then finally, the outcome, or the future, is Haglas. Haglas is in the upright, and Haglas is the yin and yang, so to speak, okay? What does that mean? Well, it talks about, things such as limits and upheavals, risks. It talks about uncontrolled forces, whether of the subconscious or of nature. But then it also refers to the, I would say the opposite polarity of that, controlled crisis, which leads to completion and inner harmony. So in other words, this situation can go either way at this point, depending on your decisions you're making and the conviction that you actually have. You have to do the work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no getting around it. We all do. Every one of us. And it's not something that somebody else can do for you. You have to make the efforts. Okay? So that's pretty much the reading. Another short and sweet one, and hopefully this will help somebody out there who may be contemplating or wondering, or maybe you already have some understanding or idea that, or feel perhaps in your gut that somebody is coming your way, and you are absolutely correct. Somebody is, and they will at some future point actually probably knock on your door, when you least expect it. But that's what this energy is telling us. So use your intuition. Okay, that's the direct message for the collective. The rest of it is just giving you an insight and idea as to why. Okay, somebody or some bodies are coming your way. All right, so. All right, well, with that being said, as always, I wish you guys all victory, of course. And with that being said, I will someday see you all in Valhalla. All right. Fellow warriors, take care.